Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Going to try and start doing like a little weekly announcement video each week just to kind of give you guys some updates on things that are happening with the channel, things that are in the works, what's in the pipeline, list of shows, all that kind of stuff, as well as any other announcements of things that I'm doing that you may want to check out away from the Sea of Tranquility channel here, all sorts of fun stuff. So let's get right down to it. First of all, I wanted to give a kind of little welcome to a lot of the new folks who have been hopping onto the channel in recent weeks. You know, we hit our like 5,000 subscriber number not even a month ago, and we're already just about at 6,000 again. So I want to thank all of you new folks for coming on board, for subscribing, checking out what we're doing here on Sea of Tranquility, and you've joined this really cool community, and that's kind of the way I look at it nowadays, because we've got so many folks who come here on a regular basis, digging on all the content, but not only listening to what I have to say, but getting into really interesting musical conversations with your fellow subscribers in the comments and feedback. And there's a lot of really cool discussions going on about music, and that's what this channel is all about. It's about exploring, sharing, and loving the music, whether it's stuff that's near and dear to us, or maybe myself bringing up stuff that you guys have never heard about, or vice versa, because a lot of you guys recommend stuff to me that I've never heard about either, and I go and explore and I love and I wind up buying or listening to or what have you. And that's what this is all about. It's all about sharing the joy of music, whether it be, hard rock bands, classic rock bands, jazz fusion, progressive rock from yesteryear or today, or, classic metal, thrash metal, black and death metal, progressive metal, power metal. It doesn't really matter. We cover a wide variety of stuff here on the channel. And for all you new folks, thanks again for subscribing. Thanks for coming and joining us. Feel free to start, dialoguing with your fellow subscribers in the comments and feedback, because I see a lot of, and that's the one cool thing about this. I'm getting to know a lot of you who come on here often and comment often and share your ideas and your thoughts and your feedback. So we're like a big family now, and that's great to see. And it's just been so much fun, me doing whatever shows I'm doing, you guys commenting, giving your feedback. If I'm doing a top 10 songs on a band, you guys are giving your top 10 songs by that band, and everybody's saying, comparing notes and all that good stuff. And it's a real positive and fun environment. And yes, I know we have a handful of negative Nancys who come on here and instantly hit dislike on everything and that, because they have nothing better to do. And you know what? That's just the way of the world. Guys, nobody's watching you or paying attention to you. So if you want to keep continuing to do that, go right ahead. But you're not going to spoil the spirit of what's going on this channel. So I thank everybody for all of their views and all of your feedback and comments, and consistently coming back. And a little bit of apology. There's a lot of you who are just wanting to reach out to me and get to know me, reaching out to me through Facebook and what have you. Please don't take it personally if I don't respond. I've gotten an overwhelming response of people trying to contact me and start up dialogue with me through Facebook, either through the Sea of Tranquility page or my own personal Facebook page. It's been a little overwhelming, and I just don't have the time to be responding to everybody all day long. So if you could, and I know you all mean well, but if you could, try and keep all the dialogue here on the Sea of Tranquility channel. As many of you know, I read all the feedback. I try to respond to as many of the questions and little comments and things as I possibly can. I'm pretty good that way. So if you want to, start a dialogue with me and whatever, just put it in the comments and feedback here on the channel on the appropriate video, and I'm more than happy to answer them and get into a conversation with you. And of course, we also have the not quite weekly anymore, but the bi-weekly questions and answers show, where I take your questions and I just, go through and answer as many as I can. So we're gonna try and continue that format as long as we can. I will say we're getting a lot of repeat questions now, so at some point in the future we may have exhausted everything. We may not need to do the questions and answers show again, but you never know. So anyway, a little update on some upcoming programming. So I gotta thank everybody for the response to the Top 10 Song Show. I mean, this has by far been the most popular episode format, or show format, I should say, on the channel. It's taken on a life of its own. Not only are you guys firing off bands that you'd like to see on a daily basis me cover, but I've got like friends and associates of mine in the music industry or journalists or what have you who want to guest on my show and, talk top 10 songs of various bands with me. So just trying to find the time to do it all, right? So, but some of the stuff that's in the pipeline, all right? I'm just going to rattle off a bunch of stuff. Got a Kiss one coming up, probably in about a month. Going to do a Jeff Beck one. Got a Doobie Brothers show that I'm going to be filming with my buddy Mike Antonelli fairly soon. Michael Schenker Group. What else? Dream Theater, Metallica, Atomic Rooster, Symphony X, Van de Graaff Generator, Robin Trower, The Sweet, ZZ Top, Opeth, Wishbone Ash, Journey, Marillion. What else we got here? Supertramp. In fact, I think Supertramp might be coming up tomorrow. Or Friday. What is tomorrow? What is today? Yeah, tomorrow or Friday. Molly Hatchet, Halloween, Humble Pie, Megadeth. Steve Keeler and I are going to be doing a Megadeth show. Trapeze, Sabotage. I've talked to Chris Caffrey about doing a Sabotage top 10 song show with me. He's into it, so that's coming up. Paul McCartney and Wings, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Metal Church, Van Halen, Elton John, Steve Miller Band, The James Gang with Dan Brown, Marillion I already mentioned, Golden Earring, The Outlaws, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Toto, Immortal, Overkill, Santana. Steve Keeler and I are going to be doing a Santana show. Aerosmith. Steve Keeler is also joining me on that. Fates Warning. Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush. That's coming up pretty soon. Man for Man's Earth Band. 10 Years After. Pantera. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Also, one of you readers gave me a great idea to do my top 10 songs of classic, like, 70s AM pop hits. That's going to be fun. I'm going to do that real soon. Also, I'm going to do my top 10 favorite Southern rock tunes. Okay. In addition, I'm going to do at some point kind of like a history of Southern rock, right? The classic Southern rock bands, my favorite albums, the mega bands, all that kind of stuff. What else we got? Best to worst albums: Dream Theater, Rush, Dio, God, Ekelin, Spock's Beard, Zeppelin, Return to Forever, Mahavishnu Orchestra, Porcupine Tree, Steely Dan. What else? Gojira, Death, Kansas, Angel, Van de Graaff Generator, Symphony X, Metallica, The Doors. Also, might do a top 10 favorite live songs of all time. All right? What else we got? How about a top Mellotron albums kind of history of show? I know a lot of you prog fans love the Mellotron. There's a lot of really great classic prog albums and some not so prog albums that feature the Mellotron. I'm going to do that. What else we got? I've been asked numerous times for a kind of like a history of doom metal, right? Probably going to do that. For all of those of you who are prog fans from the U.S. who attended any or all of those great near-fest festivals that started in the late 90s, went all throughout the early 2000s, I went to a whole bunch of them. In fact, I think I went to 7 or 8 of them in a row. I'm going to do a whole show on near-fest memories, okay? Might do a show on supergroups. I'm also going to do a show on my favorite album covers. Okay? Unfortunately, I'll be showing CDs because that's what I have. But I know a lot of you have been waiting for that. I'm going to do that soon, too. What else? What else? I think I am going to 86 the Deep Cuts on Classic Album series. Reason being, I like doing that. But reason being, those seem to get the least amount of traction and views among all of you folks. I think you kind of prefer some of the other formats. So the Deep Cuts on Classic Albums is probably going to get 86th. What else? Rants. What kind of rants do I got here cooking? Sophomore stinkers. Bands who change their musical styles midstream, right? History of, all right? I've kind of gotten away from the history of shows only because that takes so much preparation, right? Can't just crank out one of those like that. But Chris Allen and I are going to do an Iron Maiden history of show. I have on my list to do when I get to them. I'm going to do a Grand Funk Railroad history of. I'm going to do a Yes history of. Jethro Tull. Budgie. I got a couple of you who have been asking for that nonstop. Atomic Rooster. A Michael Schenker history of. Or maybe just MSG, probably just MSG. Possibly a Dio one. Renaissance has been asked for. Wishbone Ash, Scorpions. How about a history of the new wave of British heavy metal? A history of the new wave of prog. Okay. History of doom metal we already mentioned. History of King Crimson. History of Southern rock. All sorts of stuff. Some of you have asked for what are my all-time favorite albums, my top 50 albums of all time. That I'm going to do. That'll be fun. What else? Jesus. I think that's enough, right, for now? So someone said to me recently, it's like, oh, you post so many videos on here, you're going to run out of content in a couple months. No, absolutely not. That's the great thing about music, and especially the music genres that I love and a lot of you love. There's so much out there to cover. I literally just what I rattled off to you probably have enough content to last the next 2 years. Okay. Because obviously I don't do this full time. I squeeze this in whenever I can, in the morning, at night, on the weekends. So I work a full time job, and then right before I start work, I may shoot a video. At night after work and after dinner, I may shoot a video and go somewhere live and have a guest on and do something there. And on the weekends, I'm plotting all sorts of stuff. So it's like this is keeping me plenty busy. There's plenty of content to do. I'm happy to cover a lot of these bands. And to a few, I do want to mention, there's a lot of you who are requesting me to do shows on various bands and artists that really fall out of my area of expertise. So, for those of you who are asking me to do shows on like new wave bands and punk bands and, singer-songwriter stuff, it's not really my thing. I'm not the guy to do that, okay? So just remember, classic metal, power metal, progressive metal, death and black and thrash, all forms of progressive rock, jazz fusion, classic rock, hard rock. That's kind of my bailiwick, right? I'm a 53-year-old guy, so obviously a lot of the stuff that's really near and dear to me is from the 70s and the 80s. I do like a lot of new stuff too, so that's kind of that. That's kind of like my window there. I know a lot about those bands, and I like a lot of that stuff, so that's kind of what I'm going to cover here. So I appreciate if you want to hear Depeche Mode and The Clash and the New York Dolls and all that kind of television and all that kind of stuff, but that's not really my thing, right? So don't be offended if I'm not going to cover it. It's just, I would want you to get the what's the word I'm looking for? The best value for your buck, right, on stuff like that, and that's not going to come from me because I'm not big enough into those artists to really do them justice. And you want all these artists that we love to be done. If you're going to follow a kind of like a video blog format like this, you want the person who's talking about these bands to have a love and an area of knowledge on them to really give them justice and the props they deserve. So that's why I'm going to focus on the bands that I really know well and that I love. And, like I said, I'm a fan like you guys. All right. But music has been my intense passion since I was this big. So I've kind of made it my kind of goal in life to not only enjoy and really get to know a lot of this music, but to try and know as much as I can about the bands and the artists and the musicians and all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to do this. This is just as much fun for me to do as it is for you to watch, hopefully. So anyway, that's the deal. All right. So hopefully I'm going to try and once a week do these quick little just kind of updates on things that are going on. Also want to give props to my other YouTube channel. Okay. Comic Book Geezers. Telling you, if any of you guys or gals out there are into vintage comic books, we're talking stuff from the 60s and 70s and a little bit of the 80s. My buddy Wild Bill and I, we have a weekly show, Comic Book Geezers. Just look us up here, subscribe, check it out. Where we have vast collections. If you haven't seen, I got a lot of comics. My buddy Bill's got quite a lot too. And we just kind of go through each show as a theme. So we may do a show on the Fantastic Four or Batman or Spider-Man, Superman, Marvel 2-in-1, the Avengers, X-Men, Howard the Duck, Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night, Tomb of Dracula, Conan the Barbarian, The Flash, Green Lantern, whatever. Each show is a theme, and we show off some of the books in our collection. We talk about them, so on and so forth. And also, if you like horror and monster comics, man, we're big fans. We've done a whole host of episodes on that sort of stuff, and we got more planned. What else? Thor and the Defenders, the Champions. We cover it all. So also stay tuned for those episodes, and make sure you go over to Comic Book Geezers, subscribe. We'd love to have you over there, and a little bit different than this. So you got me, instead of talking about music, talking about comic books with my buddy Wild Bill, who's also a comedian and does impressions, and he does all sorts of voices and things like that. So it's a lot of fun. So anyway, guys, take care. We'll see you real soon. Lots of good stuff coming up. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.